guys don't know, right? So you guys should check out the first part in the live, I believe, section. And I talk about, you know, the basic commands like the banner, the help command, and we dive a little deep into the MSF Venom side of things, or the portable executable, you know, the good old Trojan horse that if the wrong person clicks on it, you know, you're pretty much on the computer. So I go a little bit of that. I talk a little bit about that. And yeah, definitely check that out. In this part, we're going to go more towards the auxiliary part, which would be chapter 3 of the book that I read. It's called Metasploitable 2nd edition. It's on Amazon. Check it out. You can get your own physical copy. And what I did is that I just copied all the important notes of it, or what I liked about it, and then I put it on my text editor here, which I'm using. So that's gonna be cool. Alright, so let's continue. I just wanted to make sure the audio levels are cool. Everything's a little like sensitive on this thing. That's one thing I've noticed. Everything's so sensitive on this audio thing, I've noticed. Alright, so I'll try to move as least as possible. And then alright, so let's continue. So chapter 3, intelligence gathering, right? So as we know, an important aspect of penetration testing is trying to gather as much as you can on a target. And there's other tools that you can use that can that will do the same thing as we're about to do on the Metasploit side. You know, whether that's using Nmap or Rust Scan or you know, some sort of DNS, you know, a DNS subdomain gatherer, you know, who is information, and you know, there's other websites that'll do this as well. DNS Dumpster, if I'm not mistaken. What other one? You can Google dork information as well about our target. So this is going to be more of using Metasploit and its built-in auxiliaries for that sort of stuff. So on chapter 3, as you can see where it says intelligence gathering, it's going to use a lot of these and the stuff that I was mentioning actually. So let's do this. First, MSF console is how we start off our Metasploit program in our command line dash. Alright, we had it running. So whois lookup, right? So as we know, the whois is a program that tells you who registered or who's behind the registered domain, right? So I'm gonna show you an example of whois Google, right? And it'll show you the year the domain was registered, who's the hosting services, you know, and hosting services or domain services, you know, like GoDaddy.com or whatever, right? Whatever is out there. So let's do this whois. Slide it up. So as you can see here, this is our command, whois.google.com. So you can see this is our domain, right? So it's google.com, registry domain ID. So I'm assuming this ID is certified behind some sort of domain service. So registrar whois server, whois.mark monitor, updated 2019 and created in 1997. Could you imagine being, oh, man, that's crazy. Some websites that I find interesting have been around for so long. I think Yahoo started in '96. Let's try it out. I think Yahoo is older than Google. Yeah, it was created in 1995, you see? Like, I find how a lot of the big players in tech started off real early. So let's go back to who is on Google. Yeah, so as you can see here, right? So the day was created, the registration expiration on 2028. Obviously, Google's never gonna ever gonna lose their Google.com domain. And if they did, it'd probably be worth over $1 million just to register as that. I'm guessing minimum, maybe it could be 5. I don't know, who knows. So it is internet history, Google.com. It will always be internet history. But back to my point, right? So who is a way to know who's behind the creation of the domain, you know, etc., where it's being hosted, etc., right? So looks like Mark Monitor might be the host, the domain hosting company. And then we see other stuff here, domains. So, you know, let me see, where did I see this? Let me see. Oh, abuse, right? So sometimes what happens is that a lot of people will create they'll create fake websites behind some of these domain services, and these sites will be used to fish information. I've seen this happen with, like, I've gotten fake UPS, you know what I mean? URL addresses trying to get my information or say that I owe them something, and they'll try to entice me to, hey, you owe $10 on this back fee of a shipment you sent back 2 months ago, right? We're gonna need your credit card information, your address, etc. And a lot of people register those domains and try to make it look official, right? Like it came from UPS.com, but it really didn't. It really came from like XYZ, you know, fakemail.com, right? So you could always report those phishing sites to places like this. And it even has a phone number on the bottom if you want to use that instead. So the name services, name server. So Google has 4 of them, etc. So who is always a good command to try to get information on a target. So as you can see here, right, and the bottom part is the IP address of the target. So if you don't know, most of the time when you go to google.com, Google passes through a domain name system, and that domain name system changes the actual text of google.com into a IP address. Then it communicates with that IP address, and if that IP address has the google.com domain with the root folder in it, then it'll send that information back to you, and that's when you see the website itself. But sometimes you just want to know the information of the IP address itself, and the IP address itself could actually host a bunch of domains. Like google.com could actually host hospitals.com as well, right? All in the same server, in the same IP address space. So let's do that real quick. So the one tool I like to use is I believe it's called not what's I'm blanking out here. What's the name of that tool? NS lookup. I'm pretty sure that's not it, but I'm gonna try it out. Let me see. There we go. So we are getting an IP address. So this is it. You see where it says address on the bottom, 142.250.68.110. So that's the IP4 address for the domain google.com. And then on the bottom of it, you can see that there's an IP6 address as well, which is the 2607 F8 B0, etc. Right? So the top server, I don't know exactly what that could. That could be the IP address of the domain name system, because I know that where it says 53 on the bottom, that's a very popular port for DNS services. So systems do act like DNS. Some computers will just do DNS related stuff, period, and they'll just have their port 43 open, and then again they'll change the domain name into an IP address, and then they'll return the website to you. So let's do this. Who is 142.250.68.1110? Looks like we're getting some alright, let me go up. So who is alright? So obviously now we're starting to see a little bit more, right? So another thing that maybe I forgot that I left out is that some IP spaces, they're reserved for companies, and the ISPs and these major companies agree that they'll have this range of IP addresses for them to use for their purposes, for their machines. Because if you don't know, a lot of our homes, when we use the internet, we all share the same IP addresses, and those same IP addresses start with 192.10 and 172, if I'm not mistaken. So anything that starts with those numbers is a private IP address, and those private IP addresses are recycled worldwide, and especially if you use a if you're using a home network, you're most likely using this IP space, because there's not enough devices. There's not enough IP addresses to fulfill the worldwide devices that exist, right? That's why IPv6 became a thing, because there's about 10 billion internet using devices, when the IPv4 IP range only goes to, I believe, 4 billion unique IP addresses. So make the math. So there's still over 6 billion devices that can't have a unique IP address, right, and use it. So that's why a lot of the private IP addresses are recycled, and the IPv6 protocol came into effect, where now you definitely could give every device that's connected on the internet a unique IP address. But the major players like Google and Yahoo and all these big companies, they have a IP range that's just specifically for them, for their device, for their web pages, because they're a major player and contributor to the internet, you know what I mean? So these ISPs have no problem giving them their own public/private IP address range. So that's it. To me, I'm not surprised that everything that's on this IP address is just Google specific, but other IP address ranges could have a bunch of other more smaller, less known web domains, right? So let's just say you have a favorite YouTuber and he has a an internet page. So most likely that hosting service is using some sort of public IP address that will host other domains, right? Whether it could be from a hospital or a car dealership, etc., etc. So yeah, hopefully I didn't bore you motherfuckers with all that stuff. But as you can see, Google LLC, Mountain View, California. So that's all the information we're gonna get from that. But you know what? This is what I want to do. Let's do this. A less known NS lookup. Let me see. What would be a less known? Let's see. I would say Dodgers, I guess. Dodgers, like the baseball team.com. Let's see what we get back. Okay, so again, look. Alright, so Dodgers, the baseball team, right? So again, I'm starting to believe that this is the DNS server IP, because it's the same one that's popping up when I put google.com. So I'm gonna do this now. Who is 34 111 135, excuse me, 23, enter, and then here we go. Let me see. So as you can see here, it's also in a range. Net name Google too. That's interesting. Net handle, parent, direct, organization Google. Really? Does Google have a domain hosting service? Oh dang it! Hold on. Does Google have a domain registrar? While Google is previously a domain registrar with Google Domains, it is no longer offering new domain registrations. Squarespace acquired all Google Domains assets, including blah blah blah. That's interesting. I wonder why it's showing up as Google. Let's try Lakers. Look this up again, and let's look up Lakers.com. So we're getting 2, and usually if we get 2, it's because what a lot of companies like doing is when they get a lot of traffic, they like distributing that traffic, that heavy traffic, into different servers so they don't get overloaded. And I'm not surprised that the Lakers do this, because they're probably one of the most iconic brands out there that exist. Very famous team, especially now they got Luka on there. I mean, I'm pretty sure there's people going on there every day just to check out what Laker news is going on, you know, especially LeBron is thinking of leaving. That's funny. So this one, I'm not surprised. So Amazon, we know for sure, has a web hosting service, and again, they have unique space IPs assigned to them. So Amazon 4, Amazon.com, Seattle, etc. More information down here. So you can definitely register domains on Amazon. Look at this. Amazon domain registration. That seems like it's I know they have a web hosting service, but where's it at? Let me see. How to register with S3. How to register domain name with Amazon route. Sorry, I'm reading what it says. So it looks like you can create an account. That's interesting. So, hey guys, as you can see, right, that in computers, one shit show will lead you to another, right? And this is actually good, so you understand and have a bigger picture of how all of this shit is connected and how it all works together. You know, and I've been talking for, I don't know what, like 20 minutes, and it's literally, we've been stuck on the who is command just to understand stuff. And I see other tools here: online IP lookup, netcraft, search dns.netcraft. Let's check that website out, see what's cracking lacking. Hopefully it's free, because I know a lot of these websites, like, they love charging for everything. Oh yeah, you want to look up for something, brother? Yeah, well, we'll reject it for now. Search web by domain, explores websites visited by users. So starts with site in, second thing, subdomain matches. So let's see what Google. So here's a good example of subdomains: mail.google.com, docs.google.com, accounts.google.com, drive.google.com, calendar.google.com, translate.google.com, which is, we've all used this eventually if you want to like understand a foreign language. Meet.google.com, classroom.google.com, Gemini. And then, from other countries, I'm assuming DE means Dutchland, which is German. Support.google, Club. And then it shows the days that the dates, that they were registered. So some of these are definitely old. That's interesting. News.google.com in 2002. That German one was in April of 1999. Oh no, first seen. And then the operating systems that are running behind that server, Linux. Alright, so yeah, we saw that stuff. So and then sudo dig mx trust dnx mx record with dig. So let's see, dig, and I believe MX stands for mail exchange. So mail exchange is a protocol that computer use to send emails to one another. So that could be its own thing as well. So dig, MX, and then let's see, Google, obviously has its own, right? We all know it as gmail.com. Let's see what's up. Simple mail transfer protocol. So we definitely got a response. Let's try it now with the Yahoo. That's another very popular email service, as we know. mta.yahoo.dns. I guess they're being hosted in these sites here. Whoops. Anyway, so now down here is where it starts going more towards the scanning part. And as we know, Nmap is a very important tool to scan devices for internet services that might be vulnerable. And there's a bunch of actual ports that can be exploited. You could try to brute force SSH 22 or 22 SSH, whatever, right? Telnet is another one that you could try to exploit. You could also try to exploit, port 445 SMB, server message block of the Windows services, etc., etc. There's a bunch of services you can always try to exploit. So it's always important to know which ones you could try to break into. So I'm actually gonna skip this part, or actually, you know what? Start Postgres DB, system start Postgres, DB status, import, how imported, still scan zombie, find usable idle host. So this one's interesting. Use auxiliary. I don't know if you guys ever heard of a zombie scan. So a zombie scan is a way to use a computer that's vulnerable to this. So let me see if I can Google what this is, right? What is a zombie scan? A zombie scan, also known as an idle scan, is a technique used in network security for port scanning. It allows attackers to scan a target's open ports without directly contacting that target, making it harder to trace the scan back to the attacker. This is achieved by a third party using zombie hosts to bounce the scan traffic off, according to Wikipedia. And let's actually read that a little bit more, see what Wikipedia has to say about that. So, an idle scan is a TCP port scan method for determining what services are open on a target. This we know that, without leaving traces pointing back at the oneself. This is accomplished by using packet spoofing to impersonate another computer called a zombie, so that the target believes it's being accessed by the zombie. The target will respond in different ways depending on whether the port is open, which can in turn be detected cornering the zombie. Overview. The action can be done through the common software network utilities such as Nmap and HPing. The attack involves sending forged packets to a specific machine target to find distinctive characteristics of another zombie machine. The attack is sophisticated because there is no interaction between the attacker computer and the target. The attacker attacks only with the zombie computer. This exploit functions the purposes as port scanner and mapper of trusted IP relationships between the machines. The target interacts with the zombie computer. Difference in behavior. It can be observed using different zombies with evidence of different privileges granted by the different computers. The overall interaction behind the idle scan is to check the port status while remaining completely invincible to the target host. So the origins, discovered by Salvatore Sanfilippo, also known as his handle Anti-Res, in 1998, the idle scan has been used by many black hat hackers to covertly identify open ports of the target computer in preparation for attacking it. Although it was originally named dumb scan, the term idle scan was coined in 1990 after the publication of a proof of concept 16-bit identification field scanner named idle scan by Felipe Almeida, aka Liquid K. This type of scan can also reference as a zombie scan, as the nomenclatures are due to the nature of one computer involved in the attack. TCP IP basics. The design and operation of the internet is based on the Internet Protocol Suite, commonly also called TCP, is the primary protocol in the internet layer of the Internet Protocol Suite. It even breaks down how pretty much all this shit works. That's interesting. So, using Nmap effectiveness. That's what I was about to say. I mean, I remember trying like this attack on like my local networks, and I believe I had an old computer on it. and I noticed that it didn't want to work on the modern computers. So maybe this stuff was very useful back in the days where security wasn't as thought of. I could see some programmer changing the vulnerability or updating the code and preventing that from happening. But I guess it's still a thing. I don't know why you would do that or say that. I mean, any kind of window is always a good window, I guess, to attack a computer. Any vulnerability is always a good way in. All right, guys. Well, I'll do another stream tomorrow. Hopefully, I find something cool, and we'll keep talking about more of this stuff. I left off on the zombie here, and what I'm gonna start doing is that I'm gonna accumulate as many notes of stuff that I've read, whether they're books or online services, and I'm gonna save them in one file. And I want to sell the notes because I believe, I feel like I should be compensated for the notes that I've taken, just because they take a long time to do, and they're very useful, and I can offer explanations of what they do, and or if you have any familiarity anyway with computing, you could just look at it and be like, okay, this stuff makes sense, right? So